Coming in is an interesting thing. If I stand in front of you 20 feet away and yell at you, but then I start walking toward you, right? It gets less and less comfortable, doesn't it? As I get closer and closer. So I don't want this all the way in. I don't want the rattlesnake all the way in. I didn't like it. I don't want that vibration inside of me. I don't want it. So in there, this is everything. This is everything, if you can understand this. And you do it all the time, right? In there, I have a power. It's called will. You made your mind say hello over and over again. How'd you do that? You have a power. You have a power, volition, will, okay? It is, someday you will find out, but for now I will tell you, will is the power of self. When consciousness concentrates, right? Just like putting the sun through a magnifying glass. It creates concentration. That concentration is a power. It creates a power in the universe. And that power is the power of will. So when you focus on something and put your energy into it, your chi, your shakti, all of which emanates from self. These things are not below. They are emanating. The sun is the cause of all light. The self is the cause of all inner power, all shakti, all chi, spirit, call it whatever you want. When it focuses on something, it pushes energy out toward that. So when you focus on that rattlesnake inside, not outside, it already came in, started rattling in there. I don't care if it's out there, right? But I experienced it. Starts rattling in there, right? I resist it. I don't want it coming all the way into me. How about you? There's no way in the world I am letting that vibration any further back than it already was, further in than it was. So I use my will, my power of will to push. Do I push the rattlesnake away? Don't. I hope you don't, right? But no, I don't. I can't push the rattlesnake away. I can push the impression that the rattlesnake made upon my mind. I don't have to let it into self. There are some things you want to let into self. You love me? How do you know? Oh, hold me closer. Oh, really? You don't want to do that with a rattlesnake, do you? Okay? There are things that you want, you wish you could be more open, don't you? Okay? That you just, don't you feel like you want to just let it all the way in and merge with it? It's a deep spiritual state. I'm showing you live in this stuff all the time. Other things, I don't want that thing coming inside of me. And so you push it away. There it is. Acceptance, resistance. That's what you're doing in there with your consciousness, with your will. So when you push it away, I do this in the course. I did a course with Soundstro. I encourage you to take the course. I get 1 hour here. It's 9 hours long. I did it all very deeply, right? What you do when you push it away, where does it go? It really happened. I can't make it not happen. If you're bothering to resist it, it already happened. Right or wrong, right? I can't undo it. I can't make it not happen. So it happened. It comes in. I'm not comfortable with it in here. I don't have to think about it. I'm just not comfortable. I don't want it in my face. I don't want it all the way in my face. I have the right to keep it at a distance. So I use my will to resist it. That is the birth of the science of psychology, because that is the birth of the personal mind. What is the personal mind? You have a brilliant mind. It can do anything. If what you're doing is yourself, that's the personal mind. I like it. I don't like it. I remember what he did to me. Oh my God, I wish this would happen. That's just personal stuff. You're basically using your brilliant mind that learned about splitting the atoms and flying to the moon to figure out how to make everything be the way you want. You got that one down? All right, that's the personal mind. That's the ego mind. That's the mind Freud studied, okay, the personal mind. Like I said, he didn't study that engineers are out there figuring out how to get spans of bridges. He didn't care about that, right? That's just pure intellectual thought. It's this stuff, this mesh you made in there because you built a personal mind. You made your mind focus on yourself. So basically, when you resist, when you sit there and say, I don't want to experience this, and you push it away, I'm telling you that is the birth of psychology. Why? Where did it go? Yeah, the rattlesnake crawled away. Did that go away when the rattlesnake crawled away? It did not go away. It was an impression that got made inside, and it got burned into your mind, and it got rendered there because you didn't let it go. You could have let it go. Then it would have gone away. Rattlesnake gone, thought gone. Rattlesnake gone, thought gone. Butterfly gone, thought butterfly gone. Now I'm ready to, that's called be here now. And don't you doubt that's what that means. There's nobody in there resisting the experiences. Therefore, they're like the white lines. They're coming in and passing through. I'm growing from them because I had the experience. I didn't negate the experience. It's the opposite. I experienced the experience fully. It became part of me. I became a wholer being. But if I don't do that, and I use my will to resist it, it stays caught in the mind. All right? Very much like the original plasma TV screens. They used to say, don't buy them, because if you pause, the image will stay on the screen. Some of the things still have problems, all right? That you could have the image burn into the screen, and now you go watch something else, and you got, the news in front of the movie you're watching. Okay? You held that thing inside of you. So now the rattlesnake's gone. It's been gone for 6 months. You're walking out in the woods, which you used to walk a long time, no problem, right? And all of a sudden you hear something. Guess what it is? It's a rattlesnake, isn't it? Whoa, wait a minute. It didn't used to be a rattlesnake. How did it become a rattlesnake? You see a rope. It's a rattlesnake. You go to sleep. It's rattlesnakes. What is that all about? You stored it inside of your mind. And because you stored it inside of your mind, it left an image there. Why? Because you kept it there. It does not naturally stay there. It requires your will to hold it there. And when it comes back up, you push it back down. When you remember that the parents got divorced when you were 6, you get uncomfortable and you know what you do in there. Okay, that's it, man. All right? This resistance to the experience creates the personal mind. So now you stored rattlesnake, you stored divorce, you stored this, you stored that. And now all of a sudden, that's what you think about. That's what your thoughts are created about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you develop, and it's hard to live in there. Why would it be hard to live in it? It was hard to experience the rattlesnake. It was not comfortable. I admit it. It was not comfortable. Well, if it's something not comfortable, let it go. We don't want to keep it there, but you do. So you take this thing you don't like and you store it inside of you for the rest of your life. That's weird. And you start collecting all these bad experiences. Well, now it's hard to live in there. It didn't used to be hard to live in there. It used to be the most beautiful experience. It was the Garden of Eden. You're just in there experiencing, growing, experiencing. Oh my God, you wake up in the morning, I wonder what I'll experience today. Let's see you as little children. It's the most exciting thing that could ever be. You're enthused, you're involved. Everything blows you away. Oh my God, you're so turned on. That is what is meant to be. By the way, that is what is until you ruined it. But you didn't really ruin it. You ruined yourself. Okay? Why? Because you said no. I don't want to have this experience. No, I didn't see a rattlesnake. No, this didn't happen. And by resisting it, you kept it. So now, obviously, it's hard to live in there because you collected the things that bothered you. Didn't you? Every single thing that ever bothered you is still in there, right? White lines aren't in there. That's why I use that example, right? Not every white line you ever saw is in there. At least not bothering you, not doing anything. So, but those things that bothered you, you kept those. That's called a negative samskara. That's what it's called in the ancient scriptures. You store that. Now, there are positive samskaras that are just as bad, but you have a lot of trouble with that. So I'll just stay with the negative ones, all right? Why would a positive samskara be bad? Because you met somebody and they were really, really nice when you were in junior high school, and before you had your first argument, their parents moved them away. And to you, it's like, oh my God, this guy Ben is the perfection of every relationship that could ever be. And you'll spend the rest of your life looking for Ben in every person you meet. Exactly the same as a negative experience. Go to Hawaii. Have a great time. Don't go back. Don't go back to a restaurant you really liked a lot. Don't bring all your friends. Oh, well, it wasn't that last time the portion was bigger. That was a different thing. They weren't playing this loud music. Understand that? You will store the impression, but you won't push it away because of resistance, right? I'm not resisting. I liked it, right? You will do what the Buddhists call clinging. You will hold on to it because you liked it and you don't want it to go away. That stays inside. Look what you're doing. You're building the psycho. I mean, the psycho. You're literally, it's psychology, isn't it? All right. So what you've done is you stored everything that ever bothered you, and you stored very few, but you stored the things that were extremely positive. You clung to them. Now you're looking for it to happen again, or you're looking for it to not happen again. How about that? Right? And then what you did, because you can't live in there, and it's difficult to live in there because it's difficult to live in there because you got all this stuff, is you start to use your intellectual mind again. Use your mind to store all this stuff. Now use your intellectual mind to say the following. This is what I felt. People think I talk against the mind. I do not talk against the mind. It's your fault, not the mind's. The mind's a brilliant, beautiful thing. So what you did, you then went to your mind that you stored all this stuff in, and you said, oh mind, Guruji, God, figure out how everything and everyone needs to be every moment so that I'm okay when I have all this stuff in here. How does my husband have to behave so he doesn't hit my stuff? How does the restaurant have to be so it matches what I expect it to be? Just make a model. Make me a model of how it needs to be for me to be okay. And we got one of those? right? And then give it a name, my hopes, my dreams, and they tell you those are spiritual. They're spiritual as opposed to being depressed. All right? When you give it, they say when you're giving up your hopes and dreams, you're dead, then you're depressed, right? When you don't have them because you don't need them, because you're fully experiencing the moment that exists, that's a better state. Okay? What are your dreams? I dream that someday it'll be the way I want. You think you're dreaming someday it won't be the way I want? Right? I hope someday it will be the way I want. You made up this whole model. It's called your personality, your self-concept. You made up an entire model inside your head. It's neither right nor wrong. It's just the entire process is absurd. You stored all this stuff that's not even happening anymore. It made me want to cry. Your parents got divorced 30 years ago. They're dead. What are you doing? Every time you hear the word divorce, you cringe. You refuse to have children because you don't want to end up getting a divorce and make them go through what you went through, and you think that's spiritual. Look how selfless I am. I'm not having children because I don't want them to suffer like I did. I once met a very high spiritual being back in the 70s, right? And he was from India, and he was talking to me, and he came to America, and he just said to me, he said, in one quiet moment, he just looked at me and said, Miki, I just don't believe what the people over here do with their minds. Like, guilty as charged. Do you understand that? So you're in there doing that. You're building this model that says if the weather's the way I want, right? If people are the way I want, if the job's the way I want, if the car's the way I want, if my face looks the way I want, if I age the way I want, and I don't want to, all right? If every single thing matches this model that I built inside this, the same mind that took us to the moon, that split the atom, is what you're using to do this. You have a brilliant mind. It's just on you. It got messed up because you're focusing on you. That's the ego mind. You understand that? Why? It's all about you. What you want, what you don't want, what you like. The third Zen patriarch, the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, it means like and dislike. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the slightest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, hold no opinion for or against anything. To set aside what you like from what you dislike is the disease of the mind. There's an enlightened Zen master teaching you, one of the deepest things ever written. But that's way out there, right? But it's the truth. It's the truth because what I'm telling you, if you have stored this stuff inside of you, you have made a mess. Don't then go to the mind that you broke and go to the broken mind and say, oh, darling broken mind, what do I need to do to make you okay? And if what it says to you is, get rid of all this stuff you stored inside of me, I will start pranaming to that mind. You have a guru mind. You have a great mind. You understand that? But it doesn't say that. It says, let's move to a place where the humidity is low enough so the hair doesn't frizz. Right? Let's earn enough money so that we can travel all the time because I don't like what it's like here. I don't like it at all. All right? Let's take our husbands and wives to the therapists so they can learn to be the way they're supposed to be. That's what it'll tell you, won't it? Tell me the truth. That's what it tells you. Let's figure out how not to age. Let's figure out how not to get any lines or varicose veins or anything. Why? Because I don't want to. I don't like the natural process of aging. I don't want to die. Of course I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I have to figure out how not to die. Or at least I don't want to ever talk about it. Don't talk about it. What are you doing? Flowers are red, water's blue, grass is green. That's what's going on. But you can't handle it. And so you made a royal mess of everything. And I mean, every moment of your life is a mess because you stored this stuff inside of you. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to experience it. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want anybody behaving in a way that brings it back up. Do you understand that? So you start to realize what happened. You started resisting, and you've resisted your entire life. And now you resist based on the stuff you resisted. It gets very complicated. And you got all this stuff stored in there. Now you use your intellectual mind to wrap around the whole thing to build what I like and what I don't like. And I'm telling you, every bit of that is built on that garbage. There's not a single decision you ever made of what you like or dislike. It just hit your stuff right or wrong. Right? Go try some clothes on and turn in the mirror. Very spiritual experience. Not. All right? Just turn in the mirror, see what happens. I'm trying to see how it hits me. That's exactly what you're trying to see. If it hits something that reminds you of some nice period, oh yeah, when I was in Hawaii, I wore something like this. It really was neat, and that's when I met George. You were buying that thing, right? If in any way, shape, my mother wore something like this. Would you like your mother? If you like her, you bought it. If you didn't like your mother, you're not buying it. You are not making these decisions. They are reactions to the garbage you stored inside of you. So now, like I said, this outer model, the shell that you put around all that stuff is your self-concept. How I need it to be for me to be okay. And that includes everything you believe, that includes who you marry, that includes everything, right? How I need it to be so that I'm okay. If I'm going camping tomorrow, there better not be clouds in the sky. Wow, who are you? There better not be clouds in the sky because I'm going camping tomorrow? How terrible a statement is that? What do you think, you're God? Yeah, pretty much. And that's the problem. You want to know what? You all complain about the world's a mess? 7.5 billion of you are doing exactly that on the planet at the same time. And no two of you agree how it should be. No wonder it's a mess. And now it just becomes, the whole thing's about, how do I get it my way? I'll use flowers or guns, right? I'll be really nice to somebody. I'll be mean as could be. So are you getting the drift now of what's going on? If you live inside of that, you live in hell. But every once in a while, it's good. Yes, because every once in a while, you get the world to line up so it doesn't hit your stuff. Okay? That's all that's going on. It's supposed to be beautiful all the time. And don't you dare let somebody tell you about it. You have to know the negative to be the positive. That's not true, right? It's supposed to be absolutely overwhelmingly ecstatic every single second of your life. And if they're not telling you that, it's because they don't know. Every master told you that, including Christ. All right? It's like the kingdom's within. It's like inside of you, behind all that garbage, you who did it are the most beautiful thing that ever lived. You just made a mess. All right? So what it's about is you work your way back. Spiritual is about getting rid of that garbage. Why? Because it liberates the soul. Now you're free to be yourself. You don't need a self-concept. You don't need a way you want it to be. And you get to interact with the way it is. Right? I got to find my way back to the garden. I got to find my way back to the garden. Right? Remember that song? I'm Stardust. Golden. I'm billion-year-old carbon, and I got to find my way back to the garden. All right? That's what you got to do. You got to find your way back to the garden. How? By undoing what you did that is distracting your consciousness. You want to talk about something distracting? Let's make a movie about everything that ever bothered you. I think you'll be distracted. You won't change that channel, will you? Right? You are distracted by the things you stored that you liked a lot, and you're distracted by the things you stored that you didn't like a lot. So you are now in there distracted completely, totally, right? And then you're out there trying to manipulate to make it be okay, and it's not easy, right? You got to work your way back. I'm sorry. You work your way back. How? That's your business. I mean, I got to go in there. I got to deal with mommy and daddy. No, you do not. You don't start that way. You want to play the piano? Do not start with Mozart. You start with scales, right or wrong. You may not be a great pianist, but you're going to get much better. You want to play tennis? Don't go play McEnroe. Don't do that. Get one of those machines that lobs the balls across. Practice. It's the same thing here. You are still every day doing the same thing that caused this mess. It's not just that mommy and daddy got divorced. It's that Sally was walking with somebody who you don't like so much, and Sally's supposed to be your friend. It bothered you, didn't it? It's about the fact that the driver in front of you is driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit, and you like to drive 5 miles above the speed limit, right? It bothered you, didn't it? It's about the fact that you need to get out of the car to deliver something, and damn, it starts raining. It's about the fact that it rained on your birthday. It always rains on my birthday. It's crazy. Stuff bothers you, doesn't it? Answer me. Really little stuff. I mean, like really, really little stuff. Okay? It bothers you. And guess what? You store that. If you drive down that street and there's somebody driving slower than you want to go and you're in a rush, right? Not only do you bother yourself about it, you might not go down that street. I'm not smart than that. It's 8:15. I'm not going down that street again. Whoa, you're serious. It's a heart attack. I mean, you're not playing around, are you? Okay? If you see a car that looks like that car 10 years later when you're in Boston, your heart goes, and it happened here in Florida, You stored that. Okay, wow, far out. If you see something on TV and you didn't like it, you now don't like it out here. It was fictitious. If you have a dream and it bothered you, right? 3 years later, you're bothered by something that reminds you of the dream. That's weird. You have to see that as weird. How can you be okay if that's what you're going to do? So you decide, I'm going to practice, not doing. I'm going to practice. That's all I'm doing. Practicing letting go. Why letting go? Because that's what you didn't do that started all this. You didn't let the rattlesnake crawl away inside, even though it crawled away outside. You didn't let these different things happen. You stored them inside. Letting go is what is spiritual. Letting go means I can handle it, and I've practiced handling it. Therefore, I know not to resist. One of the chapters on Untethered Soul is the spiritual path of non-resistance. Now, do you see it? Okay, you're coming back to the soul where it all happened. Come back to the seat of self and stop pushing things away that already happened. Why? It makes a mess of you and everybody else. And so little things start happening and you start practicing letting them go. It's raining, right? How do you do that? I used to teach no techniques. I really was very proud of the fact you want techniques? Go out there. There's a smorgasbord of techniques out there, right? There's methods of meditation, and there's this, and there's that, and there's little machines you can hook up to your ears. Oh my God, there's so much stuff, right? Wonderful. I'm not knocking it. Wonderful. Find things that help you practice, right? The coach, your tennis coach, the thing that blobs the balls, they're all the same, right? Find something that you're willing to work with that will help you learn to let go. How do you know I'm letting go? Because if you practice it, meditation, this and the other thing, and then something happens, the driver in front of you is driving slower than you want to go, and you catch yourself. That's what goes under the guise of mindfulness nowadays. You catch yourself resisting. I kept it in very simple words. You understand resistance now, don't you? Okay? Do you resist? You catch yourself resisting. And now you understand the fruits of resistance, don't you? It's a mess, isn't it? Screws up your whole life and runs your whole life. Okay? So you decide right then when you catch yourself resisting, do I want to do this with this? Do I want to add another one in there that will come back and bother me? You know, I'm not exaggerating. You understand that? When that driver drives too slow in front of you, you talk about it to lots of people all day. Then you go home and you tell your husband. So you catch it and you say, I don't want to do this. I want to practice letting go. Well, this is an opportunity to practice letting go, right? The driver's driving slower. Pass him. I'm not telling you not to pass him. If it's legal to pass him and it's safe, pass. It's not about renunciation. It's not about tapasya. I don't believe in that stuff, all right? It's about being able to handle reality. That's all that's asked of you. So now it's happening. You come in, you catch that it's hitting all your stuff. Yeah, my mother used to drive like this. Oh my God, my grandmother. All kinds of garbage going on inside you because the poor little car in front of you is not driving the way you want. Help. All right? So you practice. How? I've given you now, because you make me 3 techniques, but I give you just general techniques. 1, positive thinking. Ever heard of it? Right? It's not what you think it is. Positive thinking is right then, right there. Your mind is being negative. It is not, oh, yes, it is. It's, well, of course, she's driving 15. Look, there's a street sign. It says 60. She's going 35, right? I'm not being negative. She's driving right. No, that's negative, okay? You can't handle the fact that the person in front of you is driving. You're sitting on a planet spinning out of nowheres, right? And you can't handle the fact that somebody driving in front of you is not the way you want. All right. Start with positive thinking. Just replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. It wants to sit there and say, how do you do that? And sit there and just start making, you made your mind say hello when I told you to. Make it say, this is nice. The poor person, maybe they're hard of seeing or they're older and they're enjoying their drive, and I want them to enjoy it. I don't want to send out bad vibes. Yeah, that's positive thinking, right? Or someday I'll be old too. I don't want somebody yelling at me, okay? But the thing, or, hey, look, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I have no control. I mean, enjoy. Thank you. So you just find a way to say some nice things instead of totally immersing your consciousness in the negativity, right? But people come to me and say, but I don't feel that. I really feel like, I don't care. I told you to start with, I don't care. If you're going to let stuff go, don't get into it. So yes, you won't feel it, but at least you're giving your consciousness another place to rest instead of becoming absorbed in the negativity. So you practice positive thinking. The other one is more powerful. All right? It falls under the guise of mantra. But mantra is just a word. What does it mean? You can make your mind do what you want. There's a willful mind and there's a habit-formed mind that comes from all your garbage. Willfully start practicing, not just positive thinking at that moment, start practicing training your mind to say something over and over again. You want to use a Sanskrit mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, Guru Om, or whatever you want to do. I don't care. It's your business. Or, I used to say God, God, God. Yeah, that was very simple. Right? You're going to say God, Christ, Guru. Just say something that is positive and neutral. You hear me? And say it over and over again. When you're taking a shower, when you're meditating, when you go into meditation, when you're driving your car alone, not talking to somebody. There's lots of moments that you're not doing anything besides listening to your garbage. It's not doing you any good at all to think about what mommy did when you were 6. Right? So you start training your mind instead to say this over and over again. Over God, 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 God. It will learn. You have a very brilliant mind, right? Then what? Then what will happen is you'll be driving behind that car and you'll catch yourself. But you know what? In the background, God, God, God. It does. The mind's capable of multitasking, all right? And you've trained a layer of your mind. Hey, ever get a song stuck in there? I want you to get this stuck in there. Really stuck. So now you have a choice. Do I put my consciousness on the negative spewing mind, or do I just settle back into the mantra? And that's the power of mantra, right? And guess what? You'll learn to choose the mantra. Why? One doesn't take you anywhere as it ruins you. The other is, oh, whoa, I forgot how nice this is. And there's this calm that comes over you just by hanging out with something higher than the negative formed mind, which is the expression of the garbage. And then ultimately, and then we're going to stop, the highest technique that I have found, all right? And it is in line with what the great ones have taught, all right? But I found it personally as I work with myself, right? Is surrender. What does that mean? I'm sitting on a planet spinning in the middle of nowhere, right? There's positive thinking. Somebody's driving in front of me. That is what I want. Good, right? Why don't I just relax? There's a part of me that's resisting. There's a part that's being negative, and there's a part that wants to do something about it. There's a part that wants to get out, road rage, all right? I don't have that, but people do, all right? They want to go speed in front of her and ram on the brakes. How could you drive like that? Oh, there's a good one, right? All right? Relax. What do you mean? You in there, it all came about because you wanted to do something about it. What if what you do about it is relax? And now I'm going to cry. I don't know if you understand me. You get to do whatever you want. Don't you ever doubt that. You don't want to smoke? Stop smoking. You don't want to drink? Stop drinking. Just, you are the most powerful thing there is in there. You're the one who made the mess that makes you want to drink, you understand, or do drugs, right? Just, you can't do it right away. But you practice relaxing. Here is something that has come in. It is not comfortable. Driving uncomfortably. The weather's not what I want. Relax. Just relax. The tendency is to resist. Come to the place, the core, where that is, and relax. Like yoga, when you get into an asana and it's not comfortable, they tell you relax through it. Relax into it. This is the highest asana. When you're back at the place where the resistance is coming from, you can feel it. It's very uncomfortable. Just relax. Relax. If you relax, you don't engage. If you don't engage, you gave it room to pass. And I'm telling you, little by little, you'll get into practice that every time this stuff comes up is an opportunity to let it go. You're not afraid of it anymore. I want it to come up. I don't want it in there. I want to have a nice life. I want to feel peaceful. Just keep letting go. And 2 things happen. One is the stuff has an opportunity. You gave it room to release. It was in there because you resisted. This time you didn't resist. Guarantee you, the minute you don't resist, it's coming back up. I'm warning you right now. Right? If you don't keep pushing it down there, it comes up. You don't need a therapist. You can, but you don't need it. Right? You just stop pushing it down there. Wait till you see what comes up. Everything. In just the right order. And you can always handle it. It's the most perfect thing in the world. You say, how could that be? Does your body have an immune system? Ever study it? Pretty unbelievable, isn't it? Right? It creates white blood cells. They go in there, they attack this stuff, and it throws it out through the lymph. Whoa! There's a whole built-in system, right? That's your physical body. It's gross compared to your higher bodies, right? Your mind knows how to cleanse itself. You don't need anything else. It's just you won't let it happen. You start relaxing and leaving the natural process of purification to take place, that stuff's coming up. The mind doesn't want it in there. That's why it keeps trying to throw it up. Let it. And then 2 things happen. One, what's in front of you that you've been pushing down comes up. You learn to relax, learn to be comfortable with the driver in front of you, learn to be comfortable that Sally didn't say hello, learn to be comfortable that somebody didn't behave the way you want them to, learn to be comfortable it's raining when you wanted to go camping, little by little. And the next thing you know, you'll be comfortable with the fact that mommy and daddy got divorced 30 years ago. Comfortable enough that when it comes up, you can handle. It will always come up with pain. It was stored with pain. It's coming up with pain. Don't try to paint it. Don't try to go somewhere going, I want to put a patch on. Is there a patch for that? There's a patch for smoking. I want a patch so that when the stuff comes up, it doesn't hurt. No such thing. All right? You learn to be comfortable releasing. You stored it because it wasn't comfortable. Now let it go. That's the evolution of your soul. That is literally, you are becoming a greater being because you can handle things. And so you keep relaxing and releasing, and two things happen. One, that stuff becomes less. Well, if it's less, it doesn't distract you as much. And two, because you're leaning away. You lean away from the stuff. You're actually leaning back into self. And at some point, I mark my words, it may be early, maybe late, you will start to feel an energy well up inside of you from behind, not in front, where you feel things now, right? From behind, the Shakti just starts coming up inside of you, and it's ecstatic, and it's joy, and it pulls you into it, calls you and pulls you into it. Well, that distracts you. You want to be distracted by that, right? And it starts pulling all your consciousness into it. Your entire path is that. You don't have to do anything, all the stressful, tough techniques and all that junk, all right? Just let go of yourself and release yourself to that flow of energy. And it will pull you into it more and more and more. And the great ones, at some point you realize, whoa, where's it coming from, right? The great ones are the ones who let go completely. And they all said the same thing when they came back, is they merged. That it ceased. The great consciousness that had focused down on their thoughts no longer did so. And all of a sudden, I am the universe. I am everything. And that's enlightenment. So save the word properly. You understand that? All right? You may have enlightening experiences, but you're not enlightened. Okay? So you're a very great being. You're a very great being, about as great as anything ever was. And you know who taught you this? Christ. The kingdom is within you. It is within you. Right? You, who is in there watching. You are the greatest thing. So I hope you see, we went a long way today, right? Do you see the foundation of psychology? Do you see why it's a mess? Do you see why we have so much trouble? Did you make a mess in there? Right? And do you honestly think that it's going to go away because you get what you want? That's like buying, if a kid's throwing a tantrum, don't give him what he wants. Well, you're in there throwing a tantrum, aren't you? You don't get things the way you want. You sure throw a tantrum, don't you? Inside, right? And you're just feeding into that. So it's about purification. It's about cleansing. It's about this willingness to relax to every single thing that comes up inside of you. You're not trying to get things the way you want. You're trying to let go of the reason that you separate want from not want. It's called the non-dualist teachings. It's the highest of all the great teachings. And so you keep relaxing and releasing, relaxing and releasing. It will all happen by itself. There's nothing else you have to do. But you can use techniques. Meditation's good. Mantra's good. These things are great, right? But it's about liberation. It's about freeing yourself from yourself. And all the rest happens from there. Work on these things. Jai Gurudev.